And welcome to the Technology Geek Unleashed, which is where we talk with the best musicians and play the best music. This is our 50-second podcast, and today we have a special guest for you. We have the band Reapers, which is on with us. We have Onslaught and Randy, the two people that are responsible for the band you hear every week on the show. Guys, thank you for coming on the program.
Hey.
Thank you for having us.
So I guess the question is, how did the band get started? Whose idea was it one day to just say, hey, let's start a band?
Well, okay. Here's the backstory. I do my own thing. I have I guess I always just refer to it as a solo project, as Onslaught 6, and it's less, hey, here's music, here's a band, here's an entity, and more like, this is just what I do. It's just an extension of who I am in a weird way. But the big thing was, she always wrote music too before we ever met. She had a piddly little, look at my MySpace where I upload very bad recordings of me writing songs and playing on my piano. And they aren't even mixed, they're just one take.
Yeah.
In Windows Sound Recorder.
Yeah. That was the thing back in the day.
Yeah. So
MySpace was the thing back then.
Yes, exactly.
It was.
This was 2009.
Yeah, 8, 9, somewhere
before
around
we were dating.
Yeah.
And then we started dating, and immediately after that, a week later, once we started dating, I'm like, hey, listen, we need to do something, because you can act, you have talent, and you can do things I can't do. And you can exist in a space that I can't occupy with the direction I go in. So we need to do that. So for 2 years?
Yeah,
almost
probably
3,
about 3 years or so.
Early 2013.
We tried.
We
very
tried
hard
repeatedly.
too.
There was a very bad cover of Floor Show by Sisters of
Oh,
Mercy.
yeah.
It didn't get finished. There was... Did you write Apparitions around then?
I think it was
Somewhere
a little
in
bit
there.
after that. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in there. There was that song. There was... And you would just try to write things.
I would try to write songs, and we would try to do it, and they did not.
Because we didn't know what the fuck
work.
we were doing. We didn't know what we... You would create... Shoot.
I'll bleep it out. Don't worry about
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. We didn't know what we were doing, so we would we didn't have it. She would create these rules for what the band was going to be, but there were no songs.
Yeah. I knew that I wanted something synthy, and at the time, it's actually kind of funny because at the time, I was like, it's not going to be nerdy or anything. It has to be super serious. And
Pretentious and whiny.
once we kind of threw all that out the window is when we really kind of came into their own.
Yeah, there were no rules because you sat down. We got a hold of the Korg, which is a Korg Poly 800 that has some keys that don't work, and it's very unreliable because I don't have the right power supply. So it goes out of tune, and it doesn't like to accept MIDI the right way. But we got a hold of it, and she could play it, and we wrote a song, Reapers, and we just kind of went from there. We went, okay, I guess it's this then.
Yeah. We literally wrote the song Reapers, and everything just
And
kind of pieced together after that.
We did all the background. We did all the instrumental tracking for it, and we wrote the lyrics while we were doing that, and then 2 or 3 days later we recorded the vocals, and that was it.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, man. I think most great artists come out of just stuff that happens organically like that. When two people just get together and they just click right. It seems like the music just seems to come together just so much better.
Yeah.
When I had my band and when we first started out, we were always auditioning for different places, and I found that just if you get a group of guys together that like to play, and eventually if you get the right people together, it just clicks right,
Yeah, and that's probably the big reason why it's just us right now. Is that it's not even like there's nobody to click with. There's just nobody.
Where we're from, yeah.
Yeah, the barren wasteland of rural Pennsylvania.
Oh, really? I'm in rural Pennsylvania as well. I'm in the mountains.
Where?
Where at in the mountains?
I live in the Wallenpaupack Holly area.
I don't know where that
Yeah.
is.
Which is not hard to do because in Pennsylvania you got Pittsburgh and you got Philly, and in the middle is just miles and miles of Alabama.
Yeah, pretty much. The only thing my area is pretty much known for is Eric Frayne.
What's that?
My area is like the only thing we're known for is like that whole Eric Frayne thing that happened like a few months ago.
Oh, the police guy.
Oh, that's
Is
right.
that it?
Yeah, that's pretty much the
Yeah.
only thing my area is actually known for.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, you got one up on us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys a question. What instruments do you guys play? Who does a lot of the writing? Just stuff like that.
Well, okay. I am a guitarist by trade, but I am a rhythm guitarist by trade. Because I can't play. Once we get past the 12th fret and the 3rd string, I don't know where I am. I can fake it if I have 12 days of editing. I can piece together a solo, but so I'm a rhythm guitarist, so I know chords and I can play really fast. And that's about it. That's the extent of my like real musical ability. But I can program really good. I can write half-ass decent. And that's just, that's where I come into it, kind of, and I have the production knowledge. And then you...
I play keyboards.
Yeah.
I have we have 3 keyboards in here right now.
Is it 3?
We
Counting
have
the baby?
Yeah, counting the little baby one. The main thing I have this beastly keyboard that is really old and actually from Radio Shack that I got back when I was like 13 or something like that. But it has a really good piano sound on it.
It has a couple good pianos.
Yeah, so we find ourselves using it.
And some of
a
the
bit.
pads and stuff aren't that bad
Aren't
either.
that
I
bad,
used a lot of
yeah.
them on Peace Through Tyranny.
And we also have, as he mentioned before, the Korg, isn't it? I think it's a Poly 800 too, isn't it?
Yeah, probably 800
the
too.
Korg Poly 800 too. And we have a little teeny tiny baby Casio.
That I'm pretty sure is a children's toy.
I don't know, but we've actually
But it's got
used it for
quarter-inch
stuff.
output, so...
Yeah, and it has some pretty cool sounds on it too. We are kind of limited budget, so we get kind of creative with some of the things that we use.
Yeah, and then I've got, a variety. I have a guitar and a bass and an amp.
No, that's really awesome that you guys. I mean, I've listened to most of the stuff you uploaded, and let me tell you, you couldn't tell. You guys do a really good job on production.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of what it ends up being too is just a lot of soft synth stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The actual amount of like real hardware on the stuff is limited, I guess.
Yeah, because I know I got a lot of response from New Insomnia and Night Terrors. A lot of people really dig those 2 songs.
What's New Insomnia? That's not one of mine.
That's. Oh, I'm sorry. That was not. I'm sorry. I was talking about the Night Terrors and Turbine. Turbine. Was
Okay.
I'm sorry, but my show notes or my show notes. I can't read my own.
That's
I can't
okay.
read my own handwriting. I'm sorry about that.
It's all good. Yeah,
I'm from
those
the
two seem to
generation
be
where
pretty popular.
I stopped from the generation where I stopped teaching handwriting. So they
It's all right.
handwriting. So yeah, I got a lot of response, but I've really got a lot of people that commented on the on Night Terrors. They really dug that one. So and I liked it too. I thought it was really good.
That's my favorite one that we've ever done.
And it's like 2 albums behind now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only have whatever stuff you uploaded to my
Okay.
to my site. So if you want to throw the new stuff up there, I'll spin the new stuff.
Well, the new stuff, I put some of the new stuff on there. I know Novaria, that's brand new.
Yeah.
And did I put anything else up?
Novaria is up here. Yeah, that one I have.
Yeah. I think I threw one or two more from that
The
album.
Glory was another one that a lot of people like too.
A lot of people do
That's-
really like that one.
That's kind of the breakout hit. I guess.
Yeah, I guess
because-
that's the one that really got us a lot of attention to
Yeah,
begin
well,
with.
because New Retrowave uploaded it on the channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'll do, guys, I'll tack these once we're done with the interview. This won't go live this Friday. It'll go the following week. But I'll tack on all your music onto the end of it, just so people can get a nice interview from you, and then I might even wrap the music around, maybe give them a few songs to interview, then a few more songs. This way they get. I want it to be a nice promo for you guys.
Right.
So you guys, I guess you said you're a musician by trade. I guess you played with other bands.
Well, my trade is debatable. Let me put it this way: I was unemployed for a long time, so technically, I was doing it by trade, but I wasn't making a whole lot of money.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. I got to tell you, when I was in college, I played with a band, and I say all the time it was my full-time job. But the truth of the matter was, man, if my parents weren't paying the bills for college, I would have been broke on my butt.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, that's pretty cool. So what kind of guitars do you play? What's like your favorite, like your go-to guitar?
I have one.
And that would be your go-to.
It's not much that's all you got. It's an old Kramer. I think it's older than I am. And it doesn't have the original bridge. There's a chunk out the back where we had to drill it out to fit the new bridge because the old one busted and I didn't have any money to get it fixed. And it goes out of tune faster than you can take a leak, and it's not a very good piece of equipment. So
Sounds like Randy has a little bit better equipment.
Marginally.
Oh, you mean the Radio Shack keyboard with the A key super glued back in, and the Korg with the missing keys? Yeah.
It is what it is. Now, what mixing board were you messing around with the mixing board? But when you were trying to get set up,
Oh, I also have a board that's just like, it's not any kind of interface. It's an old, like, it's like a live mixing board that I just have because it has phantom power, and for a while we had a fancy schmancy microphone that needed phantom power, so my father hands me this board that he's not using to use it with, and it's just a beast. It's got 16 channels, and it's like almost as big as the table that this whole computer is on. It just takes up so much room, and I don't use it at all.
Well, see, that's the thing too. I'm using an Audiotronics broadcast mic, which is it's a really awesome mic. I got it on Black Friday sale, like 3/4 of the price, which
nice.
is awesome. But the problem is, like, it needs phantom power, so I have to have my huge 12-channel Mackie mixer, and I'm pretty much only using like 2 channels on it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like there's just these 2 microphones hooked up to this, and nothing
that's
else.
the same situation we had.
That's awesome. So, do you use any type of pedals or anything like that when you're playing, or for any of your guitar effects?
Well, a lot of my guitar stuff is actually just straight up Line 6 stuff right out of the box. I don't even record the amp or anything. Actually, everything that I record live goes through this Line 6 box. I think it's a Guitar Port GX. I don't think they actually make it anymore. They renamed it and they call it something else now. But it seriously just has 1/4 inch input and that's it. And everything goes through that if it's being like recorded in any capacity, like if it's not soft synth or anything like that, or an existing sound. So the microphones, they're going from this board, they go into, I think it's a Digitech vocal processor unit that I just use because it makes my vocals sound better a little bit when I push the unison button. I think it's like a harmonizer or something like that, but I'll just push it. It sounds like this. If I use the harmony settings, which it doesn't do the right notes all the time. It sucks, but it has a unison setting that beefs up the vocals a little bit. Literally, we were recording vocals for a new song the other day. It was like 20, 30 takes or something like that, and we're like, I'm yelling at her, like, why can't you do it right? And she's like, I don't know, it's not, and it's just terrible. And then she goes away, and I'm like just racking my brain, And I look, and I go, unison button's not on. I click it. She comes in, nails it one take. I'm like, well, that was a problem.
It's like me we used to use a lot voice box for a lot of the old stuff. Really going back now, and I used to have the same problem. I'd be trying why wasn't it sounding right? And I forgot to turn the voice box on because it needed phantom power. It's one of those problems again.
Yeah. So I do that, but anytime I do any kind of lead stuff now, I've moved away from the Line 6 stuff because I can't get a lot of good sustain and feedback, because that's what I like in lead tones. So now I'm just going out of my amp, and I'm literally just putting the microphone in front of the amp. And I do have pedals. I use a couple different ones, but I have like 3 or 4 distortion pedals, and I don't know what all they actually sound like. And I do have a wah pedal now, so that's good.
What are you using for a wah?
It's a Morley. I think it's a. Let me look at the back. It's a wah SP, I guess.
Yeah, I only ask because I love Morley wahs. I've got 3 of them right now on the floor.
Oh, I bought this one for $35 at a guitar show from some punk kid.
Well, I think the thing cool about Morley is there's so many different types nowadays. It used to be just the power wah, and now there's so many different ones.
I would love to have money to really experiment with gear, but it's like even just finding a place to where they have a bunch of gear to try out. Like the nearest Guitar Center is like 2 hours away from me.
Yeah, and I think Guitar Center is going way of the birds too.
Right, and the I have like a local-ish music store that's in the city an hour away, but they don't have a whole lot, and they're kind of stingy about you trying stuff out, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because there's a local guitar. Like I said, I'm in the mountains, so the closest place for me is like an hour away. Literally, that's not an exaggeration. Exactly. And like if I go up there, it's like I was jamming on some of the PRSs and running it through some of the pedals, and the guy was like, "Oh, these aren't really these. You play it when you buy it." And I'm like, "Listen, I'm not gonna. You wouldn't buy it.
I'm not gonna buy it if I don't know what it's gonna sound like."
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't buy. There's not many things like a car. I have to drive it before I buy it. It's the same thing with a guitar. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys using for your audio editing, like your music editing? What programs are you using? What's your your audio editing system look like?
I do everything with FL Studio. I think it's 9. I think I'm outdated by 1 or 2, just because I haven't bothered to update it. But I started using it back when I think it was 7 or 8, and it was like circa 2000, late 2007, maybe early 2008. And I just started screwing around with it because I needed to be able to record something. Because I started playing guitar about 2006, and just playing guitar to play and to learn. And my idea was, we'll get some guys together and we'll go into a studio and we'll record a demo like the old way of thinking. Because when you're starting out, I'm 15, 16 years old, what do I know? I'm still thinking, we'll be the next Metallica. we'll be like Nirvana. That isn't going to happen at all. But, like, when you're a kid, that's what you think. So, first off, I didn't have any guys. Like, I just couldn't meet anybody who kind of had... And I didn't know what I wanted to do either. So it wasn't like even if there were guys who could play with me, we'd be able to figure out what the fuck we were doing. And so anyway, I got FL Studio because it seemed like it had a free trial that would work decently well. It didn't restrict me from anything. The only thing was you couldn't save your project files. So it was like you had to do everything and mix it and finish it, and then that was it. You could render it as MIDI, or not MIDI, as an MP3, and then you couldn't save it. So you couldn't work on it again the next day or anything like that, which was a pain.
Well, that's something that, that's really changed the music industry with computers and audio editing being what it is. When I was younger, I'm probably a little older than you, not by much, but I remember being like 15, 16, and this is like 2000, 2001, and the thought of recording your music on a computer was just unheard of at that time.
Yeah, and this is kind of going back even before then, but I don't know from experience, but I know a lot of people around then, if you did want to do something, you had to use like a Mac or even like an Atari ST or something like that because they had really good MIDI response with low latency. Like I know a lot of older bands like Velvet Acid Christ and Wumpska and guys like that were doing stuff on Atari STs and like just weird old hardware that had really good MIDI response and not a lot of memory to do stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about, actually. But, I mean, now, and the other thing, too, is, now, I remember when I first started in the music business with my buddies, I remember, we'd play a show and then we'd hang out after the show and see how many CDs we could push. Nowadays, people can just go on the internet and just find you pretty much. You just put your music up on iTunes or Spotify or something, and people can just find you. And I remember trying to push CDs after a show was a killer.
Right, and see, I still think that's a big factor in somebody's success today on a local level because we don't have any live presence at all because we don't have enough people.
Yeah, I wish we could.
I mean, if we had more money and more equipment, we could make it work with just us, but I really want to get at least another keyboard player or drummer just to make the show more interesting and so that we're not just literally playing 2 keyboard lines over a backing track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's that, but like everything that I would say we've done pretty well. I don't want to say how much we're making, but we're a little more than breaking even.
Yeah.
We're making some money. And we've only started like a year now. About a year ago.
About a year ago. I think the first EP came out in like March of last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been about a year now.
So, and we're doing good, and that's completely with like no live support, no local support really at all.
Yeah.
Just people that we know, kind of, and a lot of strangers just finding it and listening to it and going, "Hey, I like this. I'm gonna buy it." And that's it. What it is.
Now, if I can ask you another question, I know you said you have any local support. So, are most of your sales strictly online then, direct to consumer?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Now let me. I had this conversation. I don't know if you guys listened to my podcast. If you don't, Randy was on. I think it was not last week. Maybe it was last week because it was the 50th. Randy and I were talking about music royalties and stuff like that. So, I mean, you guys obviously see the difference between selling through iTunes or CD Baby. I mean, there is always you guys obviously get your cut, but then obviously the company that's selling it gets their end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Randy and I were talking about that and how much, talking about subscription-based services, and he was saying some of the artists get not even pennies on the dollar for some of their work.
Yeah, and this came up on the Facebook page couple weeks ago. Somebody asked why we're not on Spotify, and the short answer is it costs money, sort of, to get it on there or something. Or you have to. I thought I read on the thing that you have to be registered with ASCAP or BMI or one of those places, and we're not because that costs money. Or it just seemed like it was really involved beyond here's my stuff, put it up, which is what Bandcamp lets you do, or SoundCloud.
Well, yeah, and why? Well, the other problem too, if you put it on Spotify, like I said, you're gonna get. I think Randy was saying that some artists that he knows get 0.001 of a cent for every song play. So just to get a buck, you'd have to get for a penny, you'd have to get 100 plays.
Right, and I'm not even if I was gonna go on there, I'm not too worried about the monetary aspect because, especially with coming from the solo act thing too. The only goal is to be able to make cool stuff and make enough money that I'm not losing money when I do it. That's really the ultimate goal. And if we make money on top of that, enough money that it all goes, I try to put it all back into the thing.
Yeah.
So if, we have 10 cassette tapes and we make $100 off of that, it's not going to cost $100 to make 10 cassette tapes. no matter how fancy they are. So we might take that $100 and roll it into making better CDs for next time,
Mm-hmm.
or we'll make a bunch of posters or something cool like that if we have any ideas. And
So,
that's that's just how it is.
So again, I'm not trying to get too much into the monetary end, but so where would you say you make the majority of the sales? Is it from like SoundCloud, or where's the majority of the sales come from?
It's all from Bandcamp. I don't think you can. I don't think I have anything for sale on SoundCloud per se. And here's the other thing: everything just to download it is all free. That was the decision Randy went with because she didn't like the idea of outright saying you have to pay $2 to download this EP or this album. And I agreed on some level because on my solo stuff, the way I do it, I kind of have this system in place where if it's new, $2, $3 to download it, and if it's like a year and a half old or whatever, then it's free. Because you can still stream it for free, but if you want to take it on your phone or whatever like that, and you can't stream it for some reason because you can still do that from Bandcamp on nearly any device anyway without paying. Like I have just the Bandcamp app, and I can't tell you how many things I've streamed completely from that without paying for it, and they get nothing from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you guys have been awesome too, between EMG and myself, letting us play your music on our shows and not charging us for it, which is really nice, by the way. I want to thank you guys for that. And I like doing it because it gives you guys the exposure,
Yeah, and that's,
Well, because here's the thing. It's less about, and this is sort of blowing up on Tumblr a little bit. In one of the synthwave groups that I post in, somebody was like, who wants to submit music for our indie film? And I was like, what are you paying? And he was like, basically nothing. And I'm like, that sucks because it's not. There's a difference between your show. It's a radio show. It's meant to promote music. His film is a work of art that needs an extra piece of art to accentuate it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
Like, if I have a CD, that CD needs artwork. And I do a lot of the artwork myself because I piddle around in Photoshop and I have a good time. But, the Novaria EP, somebody drew that cover, some girl that I know, and I had to pay her money. That money pretty much is coming from the sales of the stuff. But if I didn't have that money, it would have to come out of my pocket. It would be wrong of me to go up to them and say, can you do this for free? And put hours and hours of work into it, and I just turn around and make money from it.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. But let me tell you, I've seen it. Like, you guys are that's one reason why I wanted to get you guys in the show, because you guys have been really awesome about letting us play your stuff. And I try to play, if you guys listen, especially this week's episode, I try to play almost all indie musicians and stuff like that to try to give people, promotion, And I've had some artists that have been like, oh, not unless you pay me, you can't play it on my show. And I'm like, come on, I'm trying to spin your stuff to get you, fans to go to your shows and stuff, and you're gonna, just not charge me to play it when I'm trying to tell, I want to play your song to tell people, hey, you're going to be at such and such a club this Friday night. I totally don't understand that, but I guess everybody's feelings are different.
Well, here's the other thing. I feel like a lot of the times when somebody said, well, you need to, we did get an offer for a film. Somebody wanted to use The Glory for a film, and I said, here's the rule. Money has to change hands. I don't care how much. You can give me $5, and to me that's an acceptable thing. I know that's probably undercutting by huge swaths and amounts, but it's not free. Everybody has $5 laying around. If you're making a film, you have $5 in the budget for music. And if you don't, stop eating lunch for a week.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, and I've actually had bands come up, like bands that I wanted to play, like a buddy of mine's band that was playing right up locally here, and I said to myself, why don't you let me spin some of your music, and let people know that you guys got a show coming up, because I mean that's where he makes the majority of his money is on live shows, and he's like, no, I don't really like to let people play my music unless they pay. I'm like, really? I'm trying to like put people in seats for you, and I gotta pay, you know?
See, I don't understand that because the the big problem I kind of think not just Reapers but my own stuff has is it's good stuff. It is. And if you play it for somebody or somebody listens to it, I think the majority of people will like it, right? And it's just getting them into the door. It's getting them to
Getting them to hear it.
Right, it's to hover their mouse over that and click play and listen for 5 minutes. And once you do that, they're hooked and they're there. But especially just with the way the entire internet is, and with so much, everybody has content out the wazoo, inundating them constantly. So it's like you have to find a way to grab their attention and hold it there for, the 30 seconds enough for them to go, oh, I like this, I'll keep listening to this for.
And that's kind of part of the reason why, I mean, we're talking about, like, paying for the music and everything, but part of one of the reasons why I did want, like, to be able to download it for free on Bandcamp is so that people could, hear that wherever they wanted. Say somebody's in the car and they have this downloaded, and even if they didn't pay for it, they're in the car playing it with their friend, and they're like, hey, listen to this thing. And the way I feel about it is if they do get that free download and they like it, then they're more inclined to buy something else. And what I've noticed, too, is we haven't really had too awful many people, even when they do download it, most people will still throw us like a couple bucks.
Well, I don't know about most people, but there are people who will just pay for the download.
Mm-hmm.
Because we let them. If you want to do that, absolutely. I'm not going to say no to literally free money.
Right.
And I actually do. I feel. Go ahead, talk.
No, I'm good.
Well, that's the thing too. I try to play almost as many indie bands as I can, and they try to play even a lot of bands that I like. Friends of mine that they're not even indie bands. They have record deals, but they just don't get the main. They don't get airplay on the big rock stations. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like those are the bands I want to play. Like not. I don't want to really play Nickelback because Nickelback, you hear it on every
they don't need
rock
your help.
station. Yeah, they don't need my help. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the music I like to play. So one thing I want to talk to you guys about before in the interview, we mentioned about the big your breakout hit that's really got the most of attention. I guess tell us, how did it really become a hit for you guys? Who picked it up first? Who played it first? How did you get them to play it? Just a little information on that would be great.
Well, this goes back to the thing because the EP was a free download. Somebody downloaded it and decided to put it on YouTube, and that's the new Retrowave channel. And that everything after what happened was we just kind of put it out, the whole thing, the whole EP or whatever. We were just like, that's it. We made a thing. Go listen to it. And I'm actually looking at like my Bandcamp plays. And when it came out, we got like 300 plays and a few downloads and it was all right. And then like a month later, there's a spike of like 500 new plays
in like a day.
Because they posted the glory and they put this little video with it and they were like, go download it. And a bunch of people did, and we made some more money from that. And I'm sure the guy who contacted us about using it for the movie saw it on there and decided.
Even like a lot of the people who have like found us on Bandcamp and stuff, like they'll even say like, "Oh, I heard you on New Retrowave,
right?
And checked it out, and I really like what you're doing." And
yeah,
that's kind of what really that got us some exposure, and we didn't really contact them or anything.
No,
just kind of we literally what happened. I checked the stats and I was like, oh my god, why did we just get like 500 plays yesterday? And we looked at
the Bandcamp metrics, and they basically told us it's coming from here.
It's coming from this YouTube video, and I brought it up like, hey, somebody uploaded us to YouTube, and it's got like 10,000 views or something like that.
And then I
That's
did
awesome.
contact them and probably made the guy mad because I was like, hey, maybe, don't put almost naked ladies on there.
I was kind of like, whatever, people are
Yeah,
listening to it.
I know.
You got a lot more upset about that than I
I
did.
did, and then he never uploaded anything from us again.
That is pretty awesome. Sometimes things just go semi-viral like that. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah,
happens.
it was really, really weird. It wasn't something that we expected to happen.
That kind of how our podcast really got legs. We invited a gentleman on that he's a mic. He basically he's not so much a microphone. He doesn't make microphones, but he's the engineer behind them. And I got him on the show, and I didn't think much of it. He talked about about this, that, and the other thing, and how microphones are made, and how he came up with it. He gave us like a good hour and a half interview, which is a little long for us. And literally, like, I went on like my website the next day, and I'm like, why is my website down? So I had to like reboot the whole server. I'm like, oh my god, this one like episode got like 5,000 downloads after it got posted like within 24 hours. I was like, oh my god. It just you can't force something like that. It just either happens organically or that's it.
Yeah, it's weird how sometimes all it takes is just the right person
Yeah.
finding out about it and sharing it with other people, and suddenly it explodes.
Yeah, that is really awesome though. That especially that you guys got it's something amazing like that can just happen. And it's great that it happened for you guys. I'm really glad. And I mean your music is really good. I really enjoyed. Like I said, I listened to everything you guys uploaded. If you have anything else new comes up, feel free to throw it up there, and I'll play it for you guys.
I will.
Cool.
So, guys, let's wrap this up. But first of all, just let everybody know where they can find you.
Reapersband.net is the main website. It's also a Tumblr because we're lazy. And reapers.bandcamp.com. I'm glad we got that one.
Yeah.
That was part of the naming decision. We were like, we need to make sure that we have this Bandcamp, or else we can't call it that. Because I don't want to be reapersband.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
That seems stupid.
Anyway, reapers.bandcamp.com is where you can listen to everything we've put out and download it or buy merch or anything that you want to do there.
Oh, you even have some merchandise up there too.
Yeah, we have CDs for Turbine, the full-length album, and we have a limited edition of 10 cassette tapes for the new EP Novaria that they are selling out. I think there's only 6, 7. I think there's only like 5 or 4 left.
I think we're at 4 left now. I think we've sold 6.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So they're going. They're not going as fast as I would like, but they're almost sold out. And she's rolling her eyes.
Well, see, I wouldn't know exactly where to even get put my how did you get a cassette? Like I don't have anything that would play a cassette tape. That would be my problem.
Say again.
I wouldn't have anything to play a cassette tape on.
Well, no, cassettes are coming back, dude.
Are they really?
Yeah, everybody's doing them now. If you look at any like synthwave, retro, electro, like net label or anything, that everybody's doing cassettes. I don't know if Perturbator has done any, but I know Protector 101 does a lot of cassettes. And just I don't want to name drop a bunch of people, but I know the Proto Men just put out a cassette. Mega Ran did a cassette a couple years ago. We're listening to that. Tons of people have cassettes. A lot of people have old cars with cassette players in them that are just going completely unused until you give them something to put in it.
That is really awesome. Because I actually
if you
have my.
Go ahead.
I just dug up my Sony Walkman the other day.
Well, there you go.
There you
Buy
go.
a tape and you'll be able to listen to it in it.
What place were you going to tell me to go?
If you go on Bandcamp, right on the front page, there's actually, there's a section where you can look at all the sales for CDs and vinyl, and then there's one for cassettes now. So you can actually look and just see everybody that's putting cassettes out.
That's really awesome. That's
It's
really
coming
cool.
back.
Well, vinyl never left.
Well, it's sort of did,
Kind of.
Yeah.
but not really.
Yeah.
It definitely went into hibernation, probably the same amount that cassettes did, because I'm sure you can find cassettes that, the culture kind of died out in like the late 90s and they stopped being produced by mainstream outlets. The same way that vinyl sort of did from like the early '90s all the way up until whenever the big revival started in like 2005 or whatever, I guess, around about there.
Whatever.
Like the mid 2000s is where it really started to crank up a little bit, I think.
Yep. So I want to thank you guys for coming on. Again, it's the band's called Reapers. It's by Onslaught and Randy. They're a wonderful band. Check them out, guys. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care, guys. Bye bye.
Yeah.
You too.